Hi everyone. So, this is a short video that I'm making about the scalp. But prior to that, I would like to introduce myself. Some of you might not be knowing it. I am Dr. Prabjot Singh, and I am a graduate of Yerevan State Medical University, currently pursuing MD Anatomy from AIMS Jodhpur. So in my free time, I thought of making a short video about the scalp, about the various layers of the scalp, and along with its clinical correlations. The clinical correlations I'll talk at the end of the video. I got few requests on my Instagram for making such videos, so I thought of making this one. My Instagram is sprabjot. That's my Instagram handle. You can reach me out over there. So basically, what is scalp? Scalp itself is composed of 5 layers. The secret is hidden in its name itself. But prior to describing these layers, we would like to know from where does it starts from where does it starts and where does it ends. So it basically starts at the supraorbital area. These are the eyes. Sorry for my bad drawing. So scalp starts from the supraorbital area, and then it goes up to the level of external occipital protuberance. External occipital protuberance from the supraorbital area. And this was from anterior to posterior aspect, right? But what about side to side? In side to side aspect, this scalp, it is basically from your zygomatic arches on both the sides. So all of you know the zygomatic bone, along with it fuses with the temporal, basically the temporal process of the zygomatic and the zygomatic process of the temporal. They fuse with each other and leads to the formation of an zygomatic arc or arch, the way you want to call it. So this is, for example, your zygo, and this one is your temporal. So this is your zygomatic process of temporal, and this is your temporal process of zygomatic. My videos are not meant to learn the new things. My videos are basically meant to revise. Basically, since I'm an FMGE, a foreign medical graduate, and I have done my passed my FMGE examination, so these videos are kind of focused upon revision for FMGE examinations. I'll be making whenever I find some time for any subject. It could be anatomy, it could be ENT, it could be anesthesia, anything. It just depends whatsoever the topic I feel that I need to explain it to you guys, which is actually important from the FMG point of view. So now, as you can see that, as you can understand that from in side to side, it is from your zygomatic arc, from one zygomatic arc to another one. But from anterior to posterior also, the scalp is extending, and from side to side also it's extending, right? So the thing is, these are merging somewhere in the middle, right? These are merging over here. So where they are merging? They are merging basically in the region that you can say that in the temporal region. Actually, they are merging in the temporal region that is superficial to temporal fascia. Okay, so that was the extent of the scalp. Now we'll talk about the scalp itself. What does this word stands for? S means skin. Okay, now you need to know some basic characteristics of the skin. Skin is thick, as you can touch your scalp and feel. Skin contains lot of sweat and sebaceous glands. SNS stands for sweat and sebaceous glands. Along with that, like since it has lot of sebaceous glands, there is a huge risk of developing sebaceous cysts. What is sebaceous cyst and all that you will study in surgery. I'm not going to cover that in this video. Now the second one is after S comes your C. C means connective tissue, but that is not just connective, it is dense connective tissue, also known as superficial fascia in some books. Also written as superficial fascia in some books. So now we to know its characteristics, the way we studied about the skin. It is fatty in nature. It contains the blood vessels, the nerves, and this is the layer which bleeds. So it bleeds due to the blood vessels, not due to the nerves, obviously. Due to the blood vessel, it's the area that bleeds. Now coming on to the third layer, A. A stands for aponeurosis. But what aponeurosis? That is known as your glia aponeurotica. That's the name that has been given to it. So this aponeurosis, since you know aponeurosis is something that has something to do with the muscle. Over here we have two muscles. One is occipitofrontalis. The other one is your temporoparietalis. About temporoparietalis, you don't need to know the details for the entrance exams, but for frontoparietalis, obviously you need to know. So this is your frontoparietalis. This is its aponeurotic part. In the middle is your aponeurotic part. Okay, so this is, let's take it, this is your anterior, this is your posterior. So this is your occipital belly, frontal belly, and this is your occipital belly. So they originate from here and insert in the epicranium region. This aponeurosis is basically your insertion. Now you need to know about the nerve supplies. The occipital belly is supplied by posterior auricular branch of facial nerve, that is your cranial nerve 7, whereas the frontal belly is supplied by temporal branch of facial nerve, again the same nerve but the different branch. Okay, so getting my point about these things. So this was your SCA. Now coming on to, before moving to L, we need to know the function of this muscle. Function of this muscle is basically it pulls the skin of your forehead upwards. So that is, it gives an idea of surprise when the person is getting surprised and lifting its eyebrows up. That's the thing over here. Now coming on to your L. L means your loose areolar tissue, and this is also known as your dangerous area of the scalp. Why is it called so? Basically, it contains your veins, special veins known as emissary veins. Emissary veins are valveless veins. They connect the veins of the scalp with the veins of the basically the veins that are present in the skull, also known as the intracranial veins. So the thing is, these veins, they act as a tube that allows the blood to travel in both the directions, because it is valveless. It all depends upon the pressure gradient in which direction of the blood flow. Hence, the infection can spread from here to here or from here to here. So that's the thing. That's why this area is known by the name of dangerous area of the scalp. Okay, now coming on to your fifth layer, the P means pericranium. Okay, so pericranium is the layer that is loosely attached. Only it is, you can say, comparatively firm. Comparatively firm, remember my words. Comparatively firm at the area of sutures. I mean, in the scalp we have various sutures like coronal suture, sagittal suture, lambdoid suture. So it is just comparatively firm over there, rest it is loosely attached. So the clinical importance of this is, for example, these are your two areas. This is your frontal, this is your parietal area. If there is some injury, the blood is getting accumulated over here, so it will prevent the spread of swelling, of inflammation in another region. This will not take place. Hence, you will just see the swelling in the respective area. So, due to this reason, you might have noticed when someone gets basically the boxers, when they get injured or they get hurt, when they take the punches around their forehead, around their eyes, the eyes, they become black in color. That is because the frontal area is connected with the orbital area but not with the temporal area. So that is known as your black eye, also known as raccoon eyes. Okay, so and then there are two things. One is your caput succedaneum, and then second is your cephalhematoma. These are the two things that you will study in obstetrics. Basically, I'll just give an overview. Caput succedaneum is nothing but your fluid. This is your blood. Caput succedaneum is present at birth and it resolves in 48 to 72 hours, whereas it appears at 24 hours and takes few weeks to resolve. This is basically not dangerous, but this is dangerous. So it is dangerous. Why? Because due to this blood, it will raise the levels of bilirubin. Hence, that will lead to jaundice. So that was all about your SCALP, the full form. Now we'll just talk about three more things and then we'll finish with the topic. That is your arteries, nerves and the veins that supply the scalp. So for that, we'll talk about arteries and nerves together. For that, I'll draw a diagram. This is your scalp, these are your ears. You are looking from the top. This is your basically norma verticalis. Okay, this is your anterior part, this is your posterior. So I'll divide it in the middle. On one side I will draw the blood supply, on the other side I'll draw the nerve. So coming on to the nerve supply. So over here you have a nerve, over here you have a nerve. Total 10 nerves, out of which 8 are sensory and 2 are motor. So this one is your, or I'll better write the numbers, 1, 2. One is your supratrochlear, second is your supraorbital. Now let me just draw this one a bit closer to it because I need the space over here. So then here comes your 3 nerves over here, and one I'm drawing with the in yellow color. I'll tell you why I have drawn the one that the last one in yellow color. Let's label it as 3, 4 and 5. So third one is your temporal. Basically third and fourth both are your temporal, but one is zygomatic temporal. The fourth one is your auriculotemporal. Now the fifth one I have drawn in different color because it's a motor nerve. It is your temporal branch of facial of seventh. It's the same one that was supplying the frontal belly of the occipita frontalis. Now coming on to the part posterior to the ear, you have a nerve over here, number 6. Then again you have a motor, number 7. Then you have 3 over here, number 8, number 9 and number 10. Okay, so these all were basically your branches of trigeminal, and the sensory ones that are posteriorly, that is your 6, 8, 9 and 10, these are your branches that are coming from the cervical plexus, the recurrent branches of the cervical plexus. I'll label them now. The sixth one is your greater auricular. Seventh one I'll label at the end. 8, 9 and 10 all are your occipital, but this is your lesser occipital, this is your greater occipital, this is your third occipital. You don't need to remember their root values for the exam, entrance exam. Just note that they are coming from the cervical plexus. Then coming on to the number 7, the motor. This motor is your posterior auricular branch of facial that was supplying your posterior belly or the occipital belly of occipita frontalis. Now on this other side, I'm going to draw, or you can say that depict the arteries 1, 2. So these 1 and 2, they have the same name as the nerves, that is your supratrochlear, supraorbital. These are coming from internal carotid artery. Then comes your number 3, number 4 and number 5. Third one is your superficial temporal. Superficial temporal is the terminal branch of external carotid artery. Fourth one is your posterior auricular. Again goes by the same name similar to the nerve, posterior auricular. So posterior auricular, as you can also understand, it is behind the ear. And the fifth one is occipital. These are your branches of external carotid artery. So you can very well understand the scalp is supplied by the both internal carotid and external carotid artery. So it has its advantages. Advantages is good wound healing, but the disadvantage is, in the case of trauma, heavy blood loss. Okay, now coming on to the venous drainage, that is a bit complex. I will try to make it simple, but that is really complex. You can also leave it if you are not able to remember it. Venous drainage is rarely asked in FMGE or in PG entrance exams. This is basically what I'm trying to draw is the face. Or wait, I should draw it in some different color so that I can draw the veins in blue. Okay, so this is your eye. On top of the eye you have two veins, again the same, supratrochlear and supraorbital. these two, they reach the angle of the eye, and from there they form an angular vein that continues as facial vein. So that is your angular vein that continues as facial vein. Now coming on to superficial temporal vein. This is your superficial temporal vein. It is joined by maxillary vein. This is your maxillary vein. This is your superficial temporal vein. So it goes down. So this one, after meeting when superficial temporal vein and maxillary vein have met with each other, the vein that is formed is known as your retromandibular vein. Retromandibular vein divides into two, anterior and posterior. The anterior one, it communicates with the facial vein and forms common facial vein, whereas okay, so let me just finish about common facial vein finally drains into internal jugular vein. Whereas the posterior one, it basically behind the auricle you have a vein that is known as posterior auricular vein. So the posterior auricular vein merges with the posterior division of retromandibular vein, and they together drain into external jugular vein, internal jugular vein, external jugular vein, right? And then you have an independent vein at the back. This independent vein is your occipital vein. It drains into suboccipital venous plexus. It is not merging anywhere. Now I had earlier mentioned in the dangerous area we have emissary veins. So emissary veins are your parietal and your mastoid in origin. You don't need to know anything else about them. You need to know they connect the veins of the scalp with the intracranial veins. That's how the infection can spread, and rest you need to know that they are parietal and mastoid. I mean left and right parietal, left and right mastoid. Then comes your diploic veins. About diploic veins, again you just need to know that there are two sets of them, frontal and occipital. That's it. The third thing, last thing, that is your lymphatics. If you want to leave the lymphatics, not important. So lymphatics drainage is divided into your anterior and posterior. Anterior one is from up till the upper half of forehead. So this is drained into your superficial parotid lymph nodes, or you can and the other one is your preauricular lymph nodes. The posterior ones, they basically drain into posterior auricular lymph nodes. You can easily link it up like preauricular anterior hai, postauricular posterior hai. And the second one is your occipital group of lymph nodes. That's all for the session. If you have any doubts, any queries, feel free to reach me on my Instagram that goes by the name of sprabjot. Thank you. I hope you liked it. I'll be making a few more videos. Some of the videos will be academic based and some of the videos will be based upon my life at Jodhpur. I hope you guys will enjoy it. Thank you.